Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are 2 Samuel 18 and 19. Now, I've climbed up the hill behind Camps Bay into a thicket to tell you this tragic story. David is being hounded by his son, who is riding on a mule ahead of Israel, coming to usurp his father and to stake claim, an illegitimate claim, as king over Israel. So David has a much smaller army with him. He's got his crack troops with him, and he says to them, in no uncertain terms, beat Israel, keep our throne intact, but be gentle with my son. He makes it very clear as the battalions walk past him, be gentle with my son. Anyway, what happens is they climb up into a forest, and it says there that more were killed by the forest than by David's soldiers. And so we don't know what happened in the forest, other than God was with David and he used the natural environment to help him. Was it beasts in the forest? Was it swamps? Did they go over cliffs like I'm standing on right now? We don't really know. But the result was David's soldiers routed Israel. And it says there that Absalom was riding his mule and he got stuck in a tree. Now, whether his neck got stuck in the V of a branch like that, or his flowing hair, the previous chapter said he had this beautiful, massive lock of hair. We don't know, but Joab sees him in a tree and, defying David, stabs him with 3 arrows into his heart. Now, the irony of this death is that the deceiver, the rebellious one, was killed in a rebellious act. Joab rebelled against David and killed the rebel. It's also ironic that, his flowing hair and his glory, the stuff that people applauded him for, was the thing that was his actual downfall in the end of the day. It says also there that he had made a monument down in the valley. This very proud man with his flowing locks had come unglued. He had died. Anyway, the message gets back to David by these runners. David's back in the city. He's not with the troops because he'd been told to stay there. And he sees the runners coming. When he gets the news that his son is dead, verse 33 says he goes on to a room on top of the city gate and he wept. And as he went, he said, "Oh, my son Solomon, my son Absalom." Sorry, not Solomon. "If I had only died instead of you. Oh, my son Absalom, if I had only died instead of you." Now we know that David is a picture of Jesus. You can take that picture too far, but he certainly reminds me of Jesus here, weeping over the people that were going to kill him. When Jesus looked over Jerusalem, he said, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, those who stone the prophets and kill those who send to you, how I long to gather you under my wings as a mother hen gathers the chicks under his." David certainly has the heart of Jesus over those who want to kill him. And then he says, "If only I could have died in your place." Well, we know Jesus did that, didn't he? He died in the place of those who wanted to kill him. So you can take this metaphor too far, but David certainly does represent Jesus here. And then in chapter 19, we see the soldiers, it says that they stole into the city as men ashamed, as if they had lost the battle. Why? Because they knew that their commander-in-chief had disobeyed the king. The king wasn't happy with his victory. He wasn't happy with the rebellion. And so ashamed, they sat in their quarters. Well, Joab was not happy. The general, he comes to David and he says to David, "You're not going to have a single soldier left unless you pull yourself together and you go out there and you thank them for their victory," which David does. He does. He's the bigger man. And in fact, the rest of that chapter is David dealing with the defectors, dealing with the traitors, dealing with those who cursed him, and he deals gently with them. He really is a picture of Jesus, more concerned with unity, more concerned with even the most sinful turning their ways and having existence in the kingdom. And then we see this beautiful little picture at the end with David with an old man called Barzillai who's in his 80s. David kisses him and says, "Come and stay with me." And it says that Barzillai was a wealthy man who had looked after David when he was in Mahanaim and when he was in exile. And so Barzillai says, "No, listen, Not me. You've got so much more to do in terms of establishing your kingdom." And you see this beautiful, noble man put against all the traitors, people like Mephibosheth and Ziba, who are like creeping back into favor with the king. Tragic story. But against the backdrop of this tragedy, we certainly see David pointing to a king that's coming, who will forgive, who will lay down his life, who will see unity between the kingdoms. That is Jesus.